بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وبعد. Chapter number 28 from Riyadh as-Saliheen, the summarized version. It states باب ستر عورات المسلمين والنهي عن إشاعتها أو عن إشاعتها لغير ضرورة. Chapter 28 says covering and hiding the faults of the Muslims. Covering and hiding the faults of Muslims. And the prohibition of spreading the faults and the shortcomings of Muslims لغير ضرورة, if there's no need to. If there is no need to. A. Bab al-amri bi satri awrat al-muslimin. This means that there is a command and it is an Islamic duty for every Muslim to hide the faults of his Muslim brother or sister. To hide his or her faults, to cover them, and not to spread them unless it's a must. I have to say something. I have to make it public. I have to expose someone if there is a necessity. That's what this chapter heading means. This chapter heading is considered to be comprehensive, whereas all or many things fall under it, such as gossip, carrying tales, being newsy and nosy, lack of self-reflection, because the greatest gossipers in most cases are the people who give the least amount of time to themselves. The people who gossip the most and gossip the best in most cases are unsuccessful people, called losers, people that don't really have anything, they really haven't done anything, naysayers. Oh, such and such and this and that, and I saw and I heard and you know this, right? And so on and so forth. This is most people like this. So that is included in this chapter. And obviously the Muslim is requested to be critical. The Muslim is presupposed for him or her to be someone who looks down upon himself and constantly criticizes him or herself and looking for perfection within oneself before anybody else. Also included in this chapter is making a chaotic society, making a chaotic community in which the people hate each other. No one likes each other because everyone knows the faults of each other. You backbit me, you spread my business, you were newsy, you said this about me, this isn't true, I stopped doing that. Why would you tell the sister, why would you tell the brother? And then vice versa, I do it back to you. So now there's two brothers who don't like each other. Obviously, I have my friends and associates. He has his friends and his associates. So he goes and he tells, hey, listen, man, don't talk with him. Don't study with him. Don't go visit him. Don't give him salams. He's this, he's that. And then I tell my people the same. And then there are 20 people involved. And those 10 brothers there, they have their friends and their associates. And the next thing you know, we have an entire country, an entire city, an entire village, a household in which there are two sides. There is the father, the youngest son. This is the mother, the oldest son, and the daughter. They're warring against each other because they spread each other's faults. Mom did this, dad did that, so on and so forth. Or masjid, or community, leader, the president, and the led. The subjects and those who are ahead of the subjects. وهكذا. And Islam is not supposed to be like that. Islam is not supposed to be chaotic, in which the people are always at war with each other. And one of the greatest reasons behind people not liking each other and the hearts not being free from malice and rancor is gossip and chatter. And people spreading faults, people embarrassing others, exposing others, etc. And there are many, many other Islamic concepts that are included in this chapter as well. Okay? Then the author, he says, لِغَيْرِ ضَرُورَةٍ, unless there is a necessity. Unless there is a necessity, a brother needs to be helped. He has a fault, he has a shortcoming, but he needs recovery. He needs rehab. He needs the people to take him to the doctors, to take him to the therapist. And it's unlawful to just turn a blind eye and say, that's not my business. No, you have to help out your brother now because you know that he's suffering. Or your sister. Or maybe an issue of business. Someone wishes to do business with someone and you know that this person isn't trustworthy with money. They're not trustworthy with business. They have a bad reputation of taking people's wealth. And they come to you and they ask you, Is brother Weiss a good business partner? Should I invest in him? Should I give my money to him? Should I do this? It is your Islamic responsibility to give nasiha now. It's nothing personal against the brother, but be mindful. It's nothing personal against the brother, but he burnt me, or whatever. So it's no longer permissible to just say it's none of my business. The same applies to marriage. A brother wants to get married to a young sister. You know the brother has a major problem with domestic abuse. He beat up his last wife. Okay? He abused her, he battered her, he broke her jaw, blacked her eye, knocked out her tooth. And someone comes to you and they ask you about their daughter. My daughter wants to marry such and such. Do you think it's a good idea? Do you know anything good about him? I know he comes to the masjid, he's in your classes. It's an Islamic obligation to say, he has a problem. Don't marry your daughter to him. And it's no longer permissible to just say it's none of my business. I don't want to expose him. I have my own faults. La. Because this situation is a need or a necessity. And there are many other things as well. There are many other times in which it's permissible to mention the faults of a Muslim and the shortcomings of a Muslim. However, al-hadar. You got to be very, 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 very careful. And if you don't have to say the person's name, then don't say their name. If you can use hikmah, if you can get the point across without exposing their sins, then that's best. I'm not, do you think I should marry my daughter to him? You say what? You make a face like that. You don't have to necessarily expose his sins and say this and say that. And a smart person will get it, but everyone isn't that smart. Sometimes you have to be frank, you have to be open. So every situation is going to be different. But the default, the asl, and it's important for us to understand in Islam what is the rule of thumb, the default. And that's because this is the starting point, not there. A is the starting point, not D. The starting point is that the sacredness of the Muslim's honor, period. And that sacredness is not to be violated unless it is an absolute necessity. And it isn't the opposite. The asl is that a Muslim's honor is open. Talk about him, spread the news. And then keep silent about it if he's with this group. Don't expose him if he knows this person. And if he's from this place, la. It's the exact opposite. The starting point is don't say anything about a Muslim. For those reasons. Unless A, B, C, so on and so forth. The author, rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, قال الله تعالى إن الذين يحبون أن تشيع الفاحشة في الذين آمنوا لهم عذاب أليم في الدنيا والآخرة. Allah says in Surah Nur, Allah says, indeed those يحبون أن تشيع الفاحشة, those who love and those who are fond of fahisha, obscenities, lewdness, things which are unbearable and illicit, they love for these things to spread among the believers. They have a painful punishment in this life and in the hereafter. Allah says those who love for fahisha to become prevalent among the believers will have a painful torment in this dunya and a painful torment in the hereafter. So saying someone made zina, someone slept around, someone did this, someone has this sin, someone has that fault, they love for the fahisha to be spread among the Muslims. This is something which is a means of punishment in this life and hereafter. And it clearly proves that it's haram. And this ayah clearly proves that it is a major sin. وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال لا يستر عبد عبدا في الدنيا إلا ستره الله يوم القيامة. رواه Muslim. And before we read the next hadith, or the first hadith of the chapter, we know this ayah was sent down concerning the great affair, the ifk, in which there was slander levied against Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, in which the munafiqeen said things about her and accused her of certain things. And those who weren't munafiqeen, they were sahaba, they were companions in Surah 24. Some of them listened to what they had to say. And some of them may have even passed it on to someone else without making the accusation themselves. They never slandered the Prophet's wife, but some of them perhaps got caught up in the gossip or got caught up in just listening to what these people were saying about the Prophet's wife, our mother Aisha. So this ayah here was sent down among a whole other list of ayat pertaining to the rulings of slander, the rulings of character assassination, and saying someone made zina, someone is an adulterer, someone is a fornicator. A whole entire list of rulings for men, for women, witnesses, al-mula'ana, if a man accuses his wife of cheating, but he has no direct proof, but he knows that his wife cheated on him, I walked in and I saw her sleeping with another man. But I have no 4 witnesses. I don't have any dalil in the Islamic shahada. So what do I do? Or vice versa. There is mula'ana. This is what's called al-mula'ana, in which they take oaths and they swear, may the curse of Allah and may the anger of Allah be upon those who are lying. We're not here to explain these rulings in detail. What's important is that we always say, the Muslim is to have a general understanding of the Quran. If you read the Quran every single month, and obviously this is Ramadan, the month of the Quran, you can't just keep allowing each month to go by. You read the surah and you don't have a clue about what it's talking about. That's not all right. That's not cool. And there's nothing wrong with the layman Muslim to have a general concept of chapter 24, Surah An-Nur. Why is it called Surah An-Nur? This is why. What is meant by this verse? Those who slander, those who said this, why didn't you remain silent? Why do you think the best of yourselves? That's pertaining to that story. So the Quran, tafsir, seerah, hadith, fiqh, and etiquettes, they all are combined. And that's how you be a good Muslim, by having a basic understanding of the cluster as a whole. The hadith here is narrated by Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, whenever a slave covers the faults of a slave in this life, Allah Azza wa Jalla will cover his faults on the day of judgment. Whenever there's a servant, meaning a Muslim, who covers the faults of another servant of Allah, he will be rewarded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala covering his faults. And this hadith is in Sahih Muslim. Obviously, each and every one of us, we have our faults and our mistakes. We have our shortcomings. We have problems. All of us. The most righteous from among us have problems. And no one wishes for their personal problems or their personal shortcomings to be known to everyone. No one wants that. So it's only befitting if you treat your brother as such that Allah Azza wa Jal will give you that reward. It goes to show you that you reap what you sow. You gossip, you slander, you cause fitna, you yourself will be exposed. And as many of the pious predecessors used to say, Man hafara li akhihi hufratan lam yamut yaqa fiha. Lam yamut yaqa fiha. It says anyone who digs a ditch for his brother, he won't die until Allah calls him to fall into that ditch. He may get away for it for a couple years, but before death, he is going to taste the bitterness of what he tried to do to his brother. So the concept of you get what you deserve, you reap what you sow. You treat people a certain way, Allah Azza wa Jalla will treat you a certain way. And what could be more needed? And when could it be more needed than in the hereafter? And which that is the greatest exposure. ذَلِكَ الْخِزْيُ الْعَظِيمُ. Allah says in the Quran, that is the great humiliation. That's the great disgrace. Not this dunya, something happens to you, but for you to be in front of everyone, رُؤُوسُ الْأَشْهَادِ, in front of everybody, and Allah expose you. Just imagine that, being exposed in front of everyone. Imagine if you were exposed a problem that you were making in front of your whole entire family. How bad that would look. If you had a family gathering, a party, a family reunion, and then you were exposed for this mistake in front of everybody, how would you feel? Or the people in your block, or the people in your team, or your masjid, or wherever in which is a congregation of people. How would you feel? Let alone in front of all of Allah's created beings, all of the human beings. That's serious. It's embarrassing to get caught by your wife. It's embarrassing to get exposed by your brother, get exposed by your friend, to get exposed by your companion, to be in front of someone. It's embarrassing. Let alone if all of the human beings. So Allah Azza wa Jalla will reward the servant by covering his faults on that day in which many people will be humiliated and many people will be disgraced. Allah Azza wa Jalla knows best. Sallallahu alaihi wa sallam wa barak ala abdihi wa rasulina nabiyina Muhammad.